Hello, my name is Kenneth De La Cruz, and I am 29 years old.
Hi, I'm Luis Lucena, and I'm 27 years old.
And in this video, we're excited to share a piece of our life. Before the health changes, both of us were working Monday through Fridays, 9 to 5 jobs. I've been in the logistics and customs brokerage field for over 8 years, and I handled high volume import accounts. Louise was 1 week away from landing a promising role as a consumer affairs analyst for a large car company. During our off times, we'd like to travel to national parks and local theme parks such as Disneyland and Universal Studios.
One afternoon, I was out running errands with my husband, and I started to feel gum pain, to the point that I was not able to eat solid food comfortably for about 2 weeks. I went to the dentist to get an exam. They told me everything looked fine and I needed a little routine cleaning, but my body was telling me otherwise. I was on a fitness journey too, so weight loss seemed normal to me until I lost a lot of weight all at once. It was July 30th, 2024, when I woke up extremely tired, and my mom actually noticed something beyond that. I was out of breath just walking down the stairs to see her, and with no hesitation, she contacted our family doctor. At the doctor's office, my resting heart rate was at 150 beats per minute, and oxygen levels were at 84%. After physical testing, I was diagnosed with sepsis. As we made our way back to the car, I felt weaker by the second, so I shut the car door and searched up. What is sepsis? I found out that it could possibly lead to death due to inflammation and lack of oxygen. So I laid in the seat, closed my eyes, and accepted. Next thing I know, I'm in the emergency room, hooked up to an oxygen tank, and my eyes shift over to my mom and little sister crying. I didn't know how to handle what was happening, so I closed my eyes, then drifted in and out of sleep. My husband had left work to come see me immediately, and a couple of our close friends showed up to show support. My parents and their friends stopped by and prayed for me, and in those moments, I could feel a gentle pull from God as if to urgently move and listen with intent. At this point, I had been enlightened. Then I went back to sleep again. The next day, July 31st, a hematologist doctor entered the room and had told me that my white blood cell count was over 300,000, while the average white blood cell count is about 10,000. I was then diagnosed with a rare blood cancer, AMML. After being stabilized in the ICU for 2 days, I was relocated to an academic cancer hospital in Los Angeles, USC Keck. When I was admitted to the ICU, I was observed by students, teachers, and specialists who aided in the process of removing my excessive white blood cell count. A group of surgeons entered the room and provided local anesthesia and sedation to insert a catheter on the right side of my neck.
I witnessed my wife go through leukapheresis, a process similar to dialysis, separating white blood cells through a medical machine and returning blood back into the body. The process was done on a medical emergency life-saving basis. Her white blood cell count was so high that it needed to be done through her neck area to access her large central vein.
I went through 3 separate rounds of chemotherapy, the first one being the toughest, due to the new experience and side effects. One of the hardest parts for me was losing my hair. During the treatment, I left it on as long as I could, but it started to slowly fall off on my pillow. Just grazing my hair with my hands and it would fall off. I couldn't take it anymore, so I had a nurse come in and shave all 28 inches of my hair off. Funny enough, it was emotionally painful but physically liberating, and for the first time, I have felt free by letting go of something that meant a lot to me. From there, it was all an uphill hike, metaphorically, of course. The hard part just got harder from there. I have always been an outdoors type of person. I love adventures and testing my strengths, and so being confined in a hospital for nearly 3 months took a toll on me. But nothing stopped me from keeping up with myself. I made it a goal every day to walk those halls, converse with the nurses, and greet other patients. I knew this was just the start of cancer life, so I accepted it and I pushed. My husband had an alternating schedule with my mom, so I was never alone, and I always had company during this stay, which I really appreciate. Before my chemotherapy, I had friends who would call and text me during my time there. Some had even visited me in person, and time would go by quick, and everything would feel better. Knowing I had love and support from my closest friends and family is what kept me going. I faced another complication after a spinal tap procedure, causing me to get readmitted to the hospital for more monitoring. I knew something was wrong when I would randomly get a strong headache and neck and shoulder pain. Turns out I had a spinal CSF leak, which occurs in the spinal column. After a few days, the care team was able to remove some of the fluid from my spinal column, and everything felt normal again.
When Louise was transported from PIH to USC Keck, I remember a nurse pulling me into a tiny consultation room and handed me a packet of documents. And she said, "In case your wife is not able to decide, we need you to sign these, as you are now her medical decision maker." It was a heavy moment. I've dealt with paperwork my whole life, but this moment felt the hardest, as I would potentially need to decide if my wife lives or dies. I signed the documents with ringing in my ears and walked to the car and cried. Over the next few days, after composing myself, I reached out to my employer, having maintained minimal contact with occasional updates since the initial hospitalization at PIH, and was immediately placed on medical leave. Lastly, I needed to start making financial changes while my wife began further stabilization in the ICU. That came with letting go of personal cars and my wife's car and switching to our now single car, the Toyota Corolla XSE hatch. I realized we needed a reliable, comfortable car for our future that wouldn't hurt our bank account. The darkest week for me was the first week of all this happening. I went nearly 3 days without sleeping due to the shock of what was happening in my life. The first week felt like a blur, not knowing what was next. Hours passing, and no updates from doctors. All while my wife was drifting in and out of consciousness. The pressure of not knowing what will financially happen next.
I had sleepless nights, tossing and turning, moments of silence, pain, aches, and endless possibilities of thoughts. I thought of all the things that I shoulda, coulda, woulda. This was the first time that I thought, what is the difference in how life would be from this point? Transplant Day. July 31st, 2025. Exactly 1 year since my diagnosis and the date of my stem cell transplant. I was surrounded by the generous care team at USC and was honorably administered by a nurse who had also been through cancer as well. She put me into perspective on what lies beyond the possibilities. Less than an hour later, my cell transplant was painless and complete. I'm so grateful to have matched with an unrelated donor who was so kind and willing to give me a second chance at this life.
These days, my actual full-time job is her. If she's having a good day, we might film something for the channel. If she's having a bad day, I switch gears and make sure she's comfortable. Titles and organizations don't matter anymore.
My energy varies from day to day, so it really depends on how I feel. Certain medications can cause me side effects that impair my ability to drive and stay awake. Some mild side effects from GVHD preventative medication has occurred, but they've all subsided in a short time. I would say my new normal is described as carpe diem.
If someone were watching this video right now that was just diagnosed with AMML, what would be the piece of advice that you would tell them?
I would say if you or someone who you know has been diagnosed with AMML, I strongly encourage you to make the most of your time and make less haste for the future. Seize the day. My outlook on life before was primarily negative, filled with spite and anger. But this whole experience changed all of it and flipped it upside down. What personal changes did you see within yourself?
A personal change I saw immediately was to be in the moment. I used to be the guy who would check Microsoft Teams, emails, at the dinner table, or even on PTO. Cancer changed that, got it out of my life immediately. Now it's more important helping my wife with anything. It's not even a choice anymore. Was there ever a doctor whose name you'll never forget because they were that kind?
Dr. Kelly. He was the very first doctor to inform me of the treatment and recovery process, providing updates and potential roadmaps. This gave me reassurance. We do everything together. How did you manage to keep your strength while mine was completely depleted?
When your strength was gone, mine just had to show up for the both of us. It was love and survival that was stronger. Sure, I had my moments, crying at home or in the car on the way to and from the hospital. But I was always doing my best to show up strong and collected before entering your hospital room.
How did our faith influence the handling of this journey?
On the nights the doctors had no answers, faith was the only thing that kept my mind sane. On those days where there were no answers or updates from doctors, we would both turn to prayer for peace. The last 18 months rewrote every single plan we had. The old plan of grinding the 9 to 5, climb the ladder to save for a house, was all torn up by cancer. Now the plan is her. Whatever lets me be there for every appointment, every bad day, every random Tuesday, she finally has energy to go for a walk. That is the priority now. This channel is turning into the real story of our life. The recovery, our dream coffee shop we plan on opening, the road trips and travel plans. Of course, once she is fully recovered and her medical team allows it. We are aiming for the type of life where the default answer to this question, can you be there? It's always a yes.